Okay, today I'm gonna talk to y'all about porting and what's most important to get the most airflow you can. Over here, I have a couple of JC specialty heads. I didn't get able to get to them today, but maybe later this week. But this is the DED billet racing head, and this is a Belmont old style hemi head, right? I put bigger valves and seats in both of these, and I did a little offsetting on each one. I put offset guides in this one and offset guides in this one. So originally this came 3225, but now it's 3630, right? But what's most important is the seat ID, right? So now we have 27 and a half seat ID, right? And the intake has a 32 and a half millimeter seat ID, right? So the old seat will actually fall through. The old valve will fall through the seat if you was to stick it in there, right? And this is before there's been no valve job or anything yet, right? The seat ID is the most important thing. That's more important than unshrouding the valves, more important than the bigger valve, and more important than the actual valve job. They know, they can do a 10 angle valve job. It doesn't matter. What that means is if you can do a 10 angle valve job, that means your seat is super, super thick, right? You still cutting off flow. You got to have a seat that's a 1/4 inch thick around to put a 10 angle valve job. You still cutting down flow. The valve job, all it does, it allows in maybe a little bit better low lift flow, not really high lift flow, but a little bit better low lift flow. But what the valve job is mainly for is seating the valve to the seat. That's pretty much what it's for. So you can have 100% seal when that valve closed. That's what the valve job is mainly for, right? So if you make this seat ID bigger, let's say you put a 32 valve in your head and the seat ID is 28 millimeter. If you make it 29 millimeter, boom, instant change. Most people don't know this, but instant change. And on this one, this is a really, really nice port. This one is a really good port too, right? Pretty much can't get no better for the size of this thing here. The original here was 28 millimeter. Now it's 31 and a half or 32 millimeter around there. I took out the rubber O-ring and welded it closed and cut it flush. Same with the exhaust. It's now 28 millimeter, So it's going to be flowing a lot more air in and out of there. And that's pretty much how it is. Now on this one, this is a big 37 millimeter seat ID, right? And on this one, it's a 30 millimeter seat ID, right? The valve itself is going to be about 38 and a half, and the exhaust is going to be 30, maybe 30 and a half on the exhaust valve, right? Both going to have titanium valves. But I also wanted to tell y'all another tip. These, when you port and leave the guide support in there, right? It looks all nice and trick and everything like that. You see the pros porting heads and stuff like that. You say, oh man, it looks nice the way he blended it around the guide or whatever, right? It looks cool, but it actually restricts a little bit of flow. If the same guy is porting your head and he simply took that guide support out and had it like this exhaust, right? Where it's blended flush all the way through. This will flow slightly more than the intake side. Well, if I did the same thing on the intake, I would gain probably 5 CFM, but you mainly do it because you don't have that much of a long guide. So you say, well, the guide here is about 1 inch long or 1.25 inches long. That's all the support I have, right? But on my other heads, I stick a thick plate on top of it, and I can run a much longer guide. So I can blend instead of having the guide support inside the port of it, I can just blend it flush. And an extra little flush right there, depending on how much the head flow. If the head flows 130, I might gain 4 CFM. If the head flows 150, a bigger, larger mass support like this one might gain about 7, 8 CFM, just going flush on it. So it's like a small percentage gain, maybe I would say 5%, right? So with 100 CFM head, I don't even know if it would be 5% with 100 CFM. Let me say like 4%, right? So if you got 100 CFM head and it's like that, if you can take that guide support out, you'll get like 4 CFM. Most likely not really worth it, But on a head that does have a lot of support, a lot of longer guide, it's worth it. On this one, I can't do it because the canted valve won't allow it. But this is like a really, really nice small block head. I'm guessing it to flow, before I get it tested, I'll guess it to flow at least 170, and maybe 100 CFM at 200 lift. So it's going to be a lot of flow, right? And they say, oh, man, those are big block numbers. Damn right, right? If you ain't got that kind of flow, you ain't making the kind of horsepower I got. So typically what you do, you see guys going to buy bone stock heads, JC specialty heads. These heads only flow like 110. This one flows 109 bone stock. This one actually flows really good. It's like 139, 140 bone stock, the Bellman head. So improving it by another 20% is kind of hard to do because the design is so good from the factory. But these, I can get a more of improvement on them. So this is 109. These are like 110. And even on this one here is now 38, 32. And this one is 38, 32 as well, right? They both started off as 32 28s. That's the most common thing to do is 32 28s. And you know why? Like I was saying at another time, a lot of people don't do this custom stuff because they simply don't know how to do it, right? Everybody can just go to the aftermarket and buy 32 28 valves, put them in the head and say, I sell big valve heads, right? They sell 40 33s for the big blocks. You can just get 40 33s and say, okay, I put big seats and big valves in there. There it is. If the aftermarket doesn't already have it available, you can't go beyond that because you don't know how, right? But until you call me, right? Once you call me, I say, well, that's the start of it. 32 28. That's what everybody, 1,000 builders all across the USA has 32 28. There's nothing special about it, right? Oh, I got 100 CFM. Okay, but what about it? 100 CFM, that's baby stuff, right? Get 150. Then hit me up and talk and brag, 100 is like, okay, Or if you say, oh, well, that's without welding. Is there a rule to say you can't weld? Let me know. It doesn't impress me to get 100 CFM. The same thing with these big block heads. Guys are claiming silly numbers, but really they only getting like 130, 140 CFM, And so if you don't see no weld on the cast head, a factory head that has 0 weld, it's not done all out. So don't contact me and say, I got a head from this well-known builder. I don't want to say names. And it's all out to the max. Does it have weld or epoxy on it? No. Well, it ain't all the way to the max. Do it have regular 32 28 valves, stainless? Yes. Well, he just bought those and just installed them. He didn't do nothing special to it. If you don't have welding, epoxy, or aftermarket custom valves, it's regular shit everybody else got. Point blank, period. Right? Everybody got that. So it becomes almost cheap. It's not worth that much. Oh, I got 32. Everybody has 32 28. You got to come out and get out of the norm, man. But anyway, like I was saying, seat ID is the most important thing. This idea of this seat, ream them bigger, gain a lot of flow, right? Same thing here. Rim them larger. Y'all don't really know about this stuff because like it actually takes some work and you might have to use a SerDes machine. But either way, it's real easy to do. You know, talk to your builders, tell them to get on it, measure this stuff, get some flow numbers, get hardcore data. You spending hundreds of dollars and you don't have zero data on your stuff. You know, so stop spending $300, $400, $500 for heads and you don't have no data. You know, then I look at it and say, oh man, it's trash. And then, oh man, MDB, he's being mean. He's hurting my feelings. Hey, I just speak the facts. You know, if I see something that's mild, I'm comparing it to what I do, you know, and all this stuff work on carts. Matter of fact, this, and this, these three heads are going on carts. This will be a 14.5 cubic inch, big O engine. And these are, one is a billet animal and one is a Model 15, you know. These are, 2 Briggs heads and a Honda head, you know. Other than that, that's it. Works on carts just like it works on mini bikes or tractor puller engines or lawnmower racing engines or anything else, you know. So guide vanes or the guide support, what they call them, they sometimes call them guide vanes. The guide support, you take that out, you get more flow. But in most cases, you don't have enough guide, so you have to leave it in there, you know. Seat ID, aftermarket, bigger seats, offsetting guides, all that stuff there is, I guess it's extremely hard to do because ain't too many people doing it, you know. But I've been doing it for a long time, you know, so time to graduate, guys.